Hi, welcome to our Pharma Topics channel. Our topic of discussion is immunotherapeutics. Immunotherapeutic agents either activate or suppress the immune system. It is also called biotherapy. Immunotherapeutic agents can cause non-specific activation of body's immune system to fight against pathogens or cancer. Specific activation of immune cells could happen to attack and kill the cancer cells. Supplementation of a body's immune system could occur by exogenous delivery of immune specific protein products. Let us see the types of immunotherapeutics in clinical practice. It is of four types. One is monoclonal antibodies, fusion proteins, then recombinant cytokines, soluble cytokine receptors. This is what we are going to see in this video. Let us see about what is the antibody. So antibodies have two chains and they have different binding sites for the antigens. There will be a complement binding region. There will be a macrophage binding region. There will be some regions are variable and some regions are constant. In this diagram, you can see light green region is the variable region and the brown region is the constant region. And there is a terminology called epitope. That is, with what portion of the antigen the antibody binds, that region is called an epitope. This is an example of a B cell which is binding with the epitope of a antigen from a pathogen. Let us see the differences between polyclonal and monoclonal antibodies. Monoclonal antibodies have they attach to one portion of the antigen, whereas polyclonal antibodies, they have polyvalent affinities. They bind to different portions of the same antigen or different antigens. Monoclonal antibodies bind to single epitope of an antigen, whereas polyclonal antibodies can bind to different epitopes of same antigen or different antigens. Monoclonal antibodies are produced by clones of immune cells of unique parent cells, whereas polyclonal antibodies are produced by different types of immune cells. Let us see the monoclonal antibodies, how they are produced. There is an important technology called hybridoma technology. Hybridoma technology was discovered by George Kohler, Cesar Milstein, and Niels Jern. They were awarded the Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine in the year 1984 for this hybridoma technology. A hybridoma is a hybrid cell formed by the fusion of B lymphocyte with a myeloma cell. The purpose of hybridoma technology is to produce antibody secreting hybridoma cells. Let us see the production of monoclonal antibodies. The antigen of interest is taken into consideration, and the mouse is immunized with the target antigen to produce the specific antibody. Then the spleen will be isolated. Then the B lymphocytes or splenocytes which produce the antibodies will be separated. Actually, that could not be directly used because B cells survive for less than a week and it produces antibodies for a limited period of time. So, these splenocytes or the B lymphocytes are made thymidine kinase mutant, whereas they contain hypoxanthine phosphorybile ribosyl transferase gene. So the mortality of B lymphocytes is overcome with the use of myeloma cell lines. See, the myeloma cell lines are immortal in nature. So the myeloma cells are mutated such that they will not have a gene for hypoxanthine phosphoribosyl transferase, but they contain the gene for thymidine kinase. So these two cells, B cells are mortal, but they produce antibodies. Myeloma cells are immortal, but they don't produce antibodies. Kindly consider this. Take into consideration these two cells will be fused in polyethylene glycol medium. So it gives rise to different cells. The cells may fuse. So it can give rise to hybridoma cells or antigen specific B cells which are unfused, and it may give rise to myeloma cells which are unfused, or it may give rise to two B cells can also fuse, which may produce fused B cells, or two myeloma cells can fuse to form fused myeloma cells. So you have 5 possibilities. So they are subcultured. So in a medium called hypoxanthine aminopterin thymidine medium. So this blocks the synthesis of nucleotides which are essential for cell division. They block the de novo pathway because aminopterin is a dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor. So the only pathway available is salvage pathway. Whatever is available in the medium, they have to take. Then that produces the nucleotides in the, and that leads to production of the DNA. So that's the only available pathway is salvage pathway. So the unfused cells will die, only fused cells will exist. So there is since they are mutated, the only possibility cell to survive and produce antibodies are when they fuse with HGPRT gene and fuse with thymidine kinase fusions. So you have the possibilities unfused cells will die and only the hybridomas will grow. So culture of the clone cells is called hybridoma, which produces the antibody against the injected antigen. So then it will be screened for multiple monoclonal antibody activity with ELISA techniques. Then the produced monoclonal antibodies will be screened for their specific interactions using ELISA. The ELISA may be sandwich ELISA, or it may be competitive ELISA, or it may be indirect ELISA. For ELISA, the separate video is available. Kindly go through it. It will be useful for you. I will give you the link in the description. Let us see this in brief. So you have to remember the mouse will be immunized with the specific antigen for which a particular antibody is needed, a monoclonal antibody is needed. Then the lymphocytes, B lymphocytes will be isolated. Then the myeloma cells will be cultured. It will be HGPRT negative, whereas B cells will be HGPRT positive, and B cells will be lacking the thymidine kinase gene, whereas the myeloma cells will lack the thymidine kinase, will have the thymidine kinase gene. So both the cells are fused in polyethylene glycol medium. Then hybridomas will be selected. They will be cloned and they will be preserved. So then they can be cultured in vitro to produce the in a laboratory scale or a mass production of for the industrial scale. So the experimental strains or animals which are used for the production of monoclonal antibodies are mouse or rat. There are different strains like BALB/c or Lewis, so which can be produce the monoclonal antibodies via spleen lymph nodes. Human cells can be used, peripheral blood can be used as a source of lymphocytes. Cattle can be used as blood, can be peripheral lymph nodes can be collected. It can be used for production of monoclonal antibodies. Sheep can be used, the lymph nodes can be utilized for the production of monoclonal antibodies. And the lymph nodes or spleen from the rabbits are also used for production of monoclonal antibodies. Let us see the different types of monoclonal antibodies. Since the hybridomas are fusion of mouse and myeloma cells, they may contain the portion proteins from the mouse. The first one is a monoclonal antibody with 100% mouse protein. Previously, it was there in the market. They produce, but there is one problem. It can produce human anti-mouse antibodies when they are administered to humans. So it may cause type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. So to avoid this, the next version was launched, chimeric monoclonal antibody with 33% of the mouse protein. So the drug name has XI in it. So the variable portion is from the mouse and the constant portion is from the humans. It has less chances of immune reactions. Example, basiliximab. You can note the drug name contains XI. The next is a humanized version. It contains very little portion of the mouse protein. So the drug name contains ZU in it. It is very similar to the previous case, chimeric thing. Example, bevacizumab. You can note ZU is present in the drug name. And the latest version is a humanized form, which contains 100% human protein and no mouse protein. So it completes, it has, the drug name has mu in it. So it will have no immune reactions. Example, adalimumab. So different antibodies which are useful in pharmacotherapy. So one is a conventional antibody. So one is a bispecific antibody, and the next is a Fab fragments of the antibody, or FV fragments of the antibody, or SCFV fragments of the antibodies. Let us see this. The bispecific antibody, how it works. Let us see. So this is a target cell, cancerous cell, or a bacterial cell. The bispecific antibody has one portion binding to the surface antigen of the target cells, and the other portion binds to the immune system, that is the T cell receptors. So that T cell could identify this and it can kill the cancerous or the bacterial cells. This is how the bispecific antibody works. So they are called antibody conjugates. So it can be conjugated with radionucleotides. Monoclonal antibodies conjugated with beta emitting isotopes are used for treating CD20 expressing B cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The next is they can be conjugated with toxins, highly selective antibodies linked to toxic proteins. They are modified to remove the normal tissue binding domains. And the next is they can be conjugated with cytokines. They are useful in treatment of tumors and arthritis. And liposomes could be conjugated with the uh, with these antibodies, which can be useful in treatment of tumors. And prodrugs could be conjugated at the SCFV fragments. And this technology is called antibody-directed enzyme prodrug therapy, or ADAPT. Let us see the fusion proteins. So one is etanercept. It is the fusion of TNF alpha with the FC portion of immunoglobulin G, the antibody. It is used for treatment of rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis. And the next is aflibercept. It is fusion of genes encoding vascular endothelial growth factor with the FC portion of the immunoglobulin G. It is used for treatment of macular degeneration and metastatic colorectal cancer. And the next one is rilonacept. It is the fusion of genes encoding IL-1 with the FC portion of the IgG. Actually, this is an orphan drug used for treatment of familial cold autoinflammatory syndrome and neonatal onset multi-system inflammatory disease. Let us see the recombinant cytokines. Cytokines are small proteins that play a key role in the cell communication, cell signaling, and particularly in the immune cells. Cytokines include chemokines, and the chemokines include interferons, interleukins, lymphokines, and TNF alpha. So interferon alpha is used for management of hepatitis B, C, AIDS-related Kaposi sarcoma, hairy cell leukemia, and chronic myelogenous leukemia and metastatic melanoma. Interferon 1A and 1B, 1 beta are clinically employed for management of multiple sclerosis. Interferons are used as immunostimulants, which are useful in controlling chronic granulomatous infections. IL-2, which is an interleukin, it is used to stimulate the immune system. It is approved for management of metastatic renal cell carcinoma and metastatic melanoma. IL-1, IL-11, it acts as a thrombopoietic growth factor and increases the synthesis of platelets. It is approved for treatment of thrombocytopenia, which is resulting from the chemotherapy. Then colony stimulating factors, granulocyte colony stimulating factor or granulocyte colony stimulating factor, granulocyte monocyte colony stimulating factor are useful in prevention or treatment of neutropenia following cancer chemotherapy. Let us see the soluble cytokine receptors. These molecules act as receptors and bind to circulating cytokines. They prevent binding of cytokines to their actual receptors located on the immune cells. They prevent activation of the immune system. Classical example is anakinra. This is approved for treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. It binds to circulating IL-1. It reduces its levels and prevents its activation. Then cellular therapy. It is a novel therapy in which the immune cells are isolated by a process called leukapheresis and later activated by incubating with antigen and colony stimulating factor. The activated immune cells are returned to humans or attack the antigens. They are useful in treatment of cancer. The classical example is sickle cell T, which is approved for treatment of prostatic cancer. Hi, welcome to Pharma Topics channel, which aims at simplifying the pharmacy subjects and allied health sciences subjects and to help the students who are preparing for competitive exams, particularly GPAT exams, make it easier for the students to understand the concepts. Today our topic of discussion is monoclonal antibodies. Usually monoclonal antibodies have four parts. One is it contains a prefix, but that prefix varies from monoclonal antibody to monoclonal antibody. So that is not constant. The next is the target system where it is working. So it may target a bacterial cell or a viral cell or a fungal cell, or it may be given as an antidote for a toxin of a bacteria. It may be given for muscular treatments, or it may be given for neurological treatments. So the bacterial infections, when it is given, the monoclonal antibody nomenclature will have BAC in its name. VI for viral, FUNG for fungal infections, tox will be there in the nomenclature for the monoclonal antibodies given as antitoxins, MU for muscular diseases, and those monoclonal antibodies given for neurological diseases will have NE in its nomenclature. And for bone related monoclonal antibodies, S will be present in the nomenclature. For colon it will be COL, for mammary glands or breast it will be MA, for vascular it will be VA in its nomenclature, and for interleukins it will be IL, KIN, and for immune suppressants they will have LI or TU in their nomenclature. Both of them are used for autoimmune disorders and different types of cancers. And for platelets and clotting factors, they have CI in their nomenclature. This is followed by where the source of the monoclonal antibody is. If it is a human source, it will have U in its nomenclature. For mouse, it will be O. For rat, it will be A. For primates, it will be I. For chimeric sources, that is two different species, when they are mixed together, then it is Xi. And chimeric but humanized means it is ISU. Humanized rat mouse hybrid will have ZooAXO in its nomenclature. These things will be followed by a suffix, that is monoclonal antibody, that is MAB. So there will be a prefix, there will be a target system, there will be a source, and followed by a suffix. So this is the nomenclature of the monoclonal antibodies. So let us see some examples. So for bacterial infections, a monoclonal antibody named Panobacumab, that means BAC will be related to bacterial, U will be related to human source, given for Pseudomonas aeruginosa infection. The next is viral palivizumab, given for respiratory syncytial virus infections, contains the letter VI. Then U is related to human source. Then fungal efungumab, given for invasive candidiasis. Bezlotoxumab, given for Clostridium difficile toxicity, and oblitoxaximab, given for anthrax toxicity. XI, the oblitoxaximab contains XI. It is chimeric form of the monoclonal antibody. Let us see another examples. Solanezumab contains NE, that is neurological, given for Alzheimer's disease. The next is donizumab, which is a rank L inhibitor given for treatment of osteoporosis, contains the letter S. Then for colon cancer, edrocolumab, and nacolomab containing COL given for colon cancer. Then for mammary glands, ertomaxomab contains MA given for treatment of mammary gland or breast cancer. Other examples are vascular contains the letter VA, bevacizumab given for colorectal and renal cell carcinoma. Muscular contains MU, stamulumab given for muscular dystrophy. Then ovary, all the monoclonal antibodies related to ovary contains the letter GOV in it in its nomenclature given for ovarian cancer. Then for prostate cancer, capromab contains PRO for treatment of prostate cancer. Then the interleukins, they all the monoclonal antibodies related to interleukins will have IL or KIN in their nomenclature. Canakinumab is targeting IL-1 given for treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. Basiliximab given for IL-2 receptor agonist given for kidney transplant. Dupilumab is targeting IL-4 given for atopic dermatitis. Tocilizumab is very famous nowadays in the COVID era, given for reducing the cytokine release syndrome. It is otherwise given for systemic lupus erythematosus and other autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis. Ustekinumab targets IL-12. It is given for treatment of multiple sclerosis. Ixekizumab given for treatment of psoriasis, which targets IL-17. The next set is LI, means remember that lowers immunity. Daxilizumab given for multiple sclerosis contains LI. Risilizumab given for severe asthma. It targets IL-5. Then ocrelizumab targets CD20 given for treatment of breast cancer and multiple sclerosis. Ipilimumab targets CD22 given for metastatic melanoma. Infliximab, certolizumab and vedolizumab are all targeting the TNF alpha receptors. They are given for Crohn's disease. There is another set called LU that is also lowering the immunity. They have three targets, IL-6, 17 and programmed death ligand 1, sarilumab, brodalumab and durvalumab. Sarilumab given for rheumatoid arthritis and transplants, brodalumab given for plaque psoriasis and durvalumab given for urothelial cancer. The next is a broader set is 2. So any monoclonal antibody containing 2 is given for different T cells, CD20, CD22, and they are given for rheumatoid arthritis, B cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, breast cancer, systemic lupus erythematosus, Wegener's disease, and hairy cell leukemia. You can see the examples which you can remember. And they also target CD30, 33, 52, human epidermal growth factor 2, epidermal growth factor. IgE, omalizumab is a famous monoclonal antibody given for treatment of bronchial asthma. And IL-6 is siltuximab given for Castleman's disease, which is related to inflammation of the lymph nodes present in the thorax and the chest. Then platelets, all the monoclonal antibodies related to platelets, they contain the letter CI in their nomenclature. Examples are abciximab given as an antiplatelet drug, and cabazizumab which targets the von Willebrand factor given for thrombocytopenia purpura, and emcizumab given for hemophilia A treatment. Then lenalidomide is given for hereditary angioedema related to bradykinin, uh, uh, which inhibits the breakdown of bradykinin, and alirocumab and evolocumab are given for treatment of familial hypercholesterolemia. There are no drugs till now for familial hypercholesterolemia, but now new monoclonal antibodies have been launched. They reduce the familial hypercholesterolemia treatment. And you can remember the monoclonal antibodies given for prophylaxis of migraine. You can remember man can run. There are three monoclonal antibodies which are present in the market. They are calcitonin gene-related peptide antagonists. Fremanezumab, galcanezumab, and eranumab. Your code word is man-can-rin, that is RAN. These MABs are given for treatment of, that is prophylaxis of migraine. And there are some co-stimulator inhibitors. They come with the name of SEPT, abatacept, belatacept, given for rheumatoid arthritis and transplant. They are CD80 and 86. Aflibercept given for macular degeneration. It is targeting the vascular endothelial growth factor, and etanercept is widely used as a TNF alpha inhibitor for systemic lupus erythematosus. I hope I have given a nutshell of all the monoclonal antibodies. It will be useful for you. Share with your friends. Happy learning. Kindly subscribe to our channel to put more videos related to the GPAT and your regular subjects. Thank you.